This is my main workshop with the machine tools in it, and the one with the actual bikes in it is beyond this. Now when I built this, I felted the roof, which is tongue and groove timber, and then I later added a couple of inches of insulation on top, some OSB and more felt, and the felt's been doing okay, more or less, but I'd always planned to upgrade it, and timed very well because I actually lost a bunch of felt in the recent high winds. But you can see that the ridge has, one half has got new grey flashing on it, and this is box section metal roofing. But I've also made another change, or rather I've had another change made. I'm no longer up to getting on roofs, but I've extended out, covering the side passage here to give me some dry storage, and done that in box section fiberglass, which matches the profile of the roofing material. So this will give me more weather protection for the workshop itself. You see the wood's silvered quite a lot on this side because it's getting more of the weather. The front, I mean, I did treat it all with linseed oil, and that's prevented the oxidation a lot on the front. I must really give this another coating, but yeah, unfortunately the weather delayed construction, and only half the roof got done. And also the linkway between this workshop and the next also got redone in the fiberglass material, so hopefully this will be good for many years now. Well, this is just a very quick update on the motor for my compressor. If you recall, this was a 415 volt in delta, 720 volt in Y, which is a standard setup for star delta soft start, and I needed to rewire it for 240 volt in delta, and in order to do that I had to get the stator out of the casing, and lacking an induction heater, what I did was I milled out a slot. So the first thing I did was come in with about a 3/8 inch end mill and remove half the lifting eye boss, or one of the lifting eye bosses I should say, and then went in and slotted the casing, and I got it down to within about a pass of where I thought it needed to be, and was just starting to make the last pass when there was one hell of a bang, and it actually broke through the casing. I then discovered that I would have had difficulty getting it out, because I didn't realise, this may be common knowledge to those who rebuild motors, there was actually a pin driven through and into the stator, and it just looked like a unused cast boss, but the pin was driven through. With the casing split, I was able to spread it apart by wedging and get the stator out, and then I've subsequently driven the pin out, and you can see I've milled the slots, which will be for the lengths of studding that will clamp the shell back together, and obviously the pin will give a lot of anti-rotation, and in order to give it a good chance of good thermal transfer, lacking the kind of shrink fit it originally had, I'll give the casing a good clean up and assemble the motor with heatsink compound to improve the transfer. So now the stator is behind me on the bench, and can see there's one of the connections between two halves of a phase coil that will get cut to rewire the coils in parallel. The one I really couldn't get to was this one down here. So there's one of the lead-in wires, and there is where I've already cut it and bared the ends, and actually that one will pull back to here, get paralleled up, and the other one gets pulled round and conveniently joins up with the other feed-in. So I'm just trying to identify for certain which is the second wire here that needs to be found and cut, and then we should have that reconfigured, and hopefully it can all go back together and go into the compressor.